Welcome to Portside Conversations, the official podcast of BVI Ports Authority, your portside seat to authentic voices and bold ideas. When people think about ports, often they think of ships, cargo, people, ferry, but today we're going to be focusing on security. And with me, we have Mr. Dave Smith, one of the longest standing employees of the BVI Ports Authority, noting that this is a significant year for us, celebrating 35 years. And we are eager to hear what he has to share about his journey with the BVI Ports Authority and kind of focus on the importance of security and how it has really evolved over the years. So welcome to Portside Conversations.
I thank you. And I'm happy to be here in exact words.
And we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Smith, Dave. So, Dave, when you're the head of security for BVI PA, right?
Sure is.
When the security idea came about, what were the thoughts and the visions when it came to port and the whole marine industry in terms of security?
Well, I would have to say that the Ports Authority had security for quite some time. It isn't, or it wasn't as stringent and applicable as it is now. But where things really shook up as far as security is concerned was in, you remember the 9/11, 2002, I think it was, with the downing of 2001, of the downing of the buildings in New York and all of that. And after that, you notice that you travel through airports, you had the TSA, and you had all that security came into play. That was airside. So on the seaside, they created codes and different things that came from the International Maritime Organization, and it spoke in reflect of security at ports authorities and maritime, places. So that is where the Ports Authority had to become compliant with the International Ship and Port Facility Code. ISPS, that was a mouthful. So when ISPS came on stream, you had to be certified, because then it became a thing where ports everywhere in the world that is under the International Maritime Organization would have had to have security. So in layman's term, if you're leaving, you have to leave from a secured port in order to enter another secured port. And if your port is not secured, then vessels wouldn't be able to come there, so to speak. Because then it would be like I'm coming from a port that is not secured, but then I'm coming to my port that is secured, and I'm going to want to know, well, what's your security going on? So that came into play in 2002, 2003, and hence the British Virgin Islands Ports Authority had to follow suit.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a journey then and now. What did it look like then for us versus now today?
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
It was a lot different, because I am sure that people who live in Rotown and about the country where there are ports, Virgin Gorda, West End, they would know that back before all of this, the ports practically used to be open, and they could come down to the port and jump off the dock and swim and fishing and all of that. And when all of this come into play, all of that was done. Because then all the ports, whether it's a daytime or nighttime, if you notice now, they're all fenced, they're all gated, they're properly lit, cameras are everywhere, so it's a vast change from then till now.
So I have another question for you on that then. Well, yes, I understand that there's significant changes. So what sort of took place for you then as the security officer? What are some of the things you had to do to transition between those times? You talked about, I'm going to say everything was open, but now we had to kind of close things down a bit.
Yeah.
technology had to be implemented. So how did that impact you, and what are some of the things that you did to evolve with the system?
So, of course, we talk first about the physical aspects of the properties. And then, we must include the security personnel, of course. So then people had to become certified, myself, as the PFSO. And PFSO stands for the Port Facility Security Officer. When I first came to the port, there was a PFSO. I think there was two at the time. Over that period of time, from 2013 till now, I was able to now certify 8 people.
Nice.
So we have more people now. And what is a PFSO, a Port Facility Security Officer? I spoke earlier about other ports being secured as well as ours. It's all breaking down now, and it's like everything is happening in a bubble as far as security is concerned, right? So you have companies, you have a ship, and of course you have a port facility. So think about those 3 things, right? So for the company, there's security officers in the company, which is called a CSO,
Right.
the company security officer. Make sense? Then you have the ship. So on board every ship is a security officer as well, and he's called a ship security officer. So of course, naturally, if you have those 2 things, and then you have the ships that travel to ports, you would have to have security there as well. So those people, or that person, would be referred to as the Port Facility Security Officer,
Gotcha.
hence the PFSO.
Right.
So the training had to go in place, especially now that the BVI is big in moving cruise passengers.
Right.
PFSOs need to be certified so that they can speak to the ship security officer, and they sign documents and stuff. So a ship comes, both of us, we have a document called a Declaration of Security, and we call that a DOS. So the ship would fill it out, and then the PFSO would fill it out. So what that document is doing is marrying both the ship and the port facility. And so we are telling them that we have X amount of things going on as far as security is concerned, and then I'm finding out from them what they have going on board the ship. And there's a conversation. We probably would go on board and see what they have going on as far as their cameras, anything that you want to see. Actually,
systems.
they can show you. Okay. Likewise, they can come on shore and say, can we take pictures of, where your camera is. They want to know how many cameras you got, how is your port secured, and it all works out for us here in the BVI, because we have, as you know, the pier park, for example, and you are known that when there are ships in port, for example, there are no vehicular traffic. So the only vehicles that get into the port would be the taxi drivers and the tour buses, for example.
Right.
So the ships that gets the ships really excited, because now we're showing a level of safety and security. So a lot of things have changed. So in a nutshell, like I said, we're actually the maritime organization, or the maritime world. It's actually in a bubble, in a security bubble. So wherever you go, there's security.
Correct. I understand that, because I know before people used to just think of security officers as the gatekeepers. Mm-hmm. But listening to you, it is actually encouraging to see that they've actually stepped up a bit, and you have to be certified.
Yes.
It's a serious position.
Very serious.
Should be taken.
Yeah,
taken
very
that
serious. Way. I mean, I was talking about qualifications and all of that, but you know that we are under the UK, for example. So they have a team, a department within the United Kingdom that would send out people to us to do assessments on an annual basis, likewise, we have to be on point, because then the port has to be certified. So my department probably would be one of the departments in the port that has international obligations by being certified as a ISPS port. So the department in the UK that certifies us is called the Department for Transport, or in other words, the DFT. You know how we get with acronyms nowadays,
all
right?
these letters.
So I would be spitting out the acronyms to you. So I figured let me just say the name first and then say the acronym after.
And I like when
know.
you do that because our listening audience is
There you go. There you go. We keep them abreast
Yes.
of what is going on. So yeah, the DFT would come out to us, and we have been for the years over certified, SPS certified, and so it's a 5-year certification, but we have to maintain it. So they would come out and do assessment, or I can assess myself. And I also get assistance from time to time from the shipping registry, and they send some of their people over as well too.
Right.
Because it's not that good to assess yourself all the time, right? Because you might cheat.
I want it to be fair.
Yeah, so we have to go through these assessments, and then they come out and they would do their assessment alongside me and my department, and then they issue the certification. So we are certified right now up until 2030.
So that certification not only covers the ports or the territory, it also covers the officers. The assessments are for the officers as well.
Yes, the assessment. Yes, you have to say that, because then if the officers on the ground aren't doing what they're supposed to do, then pretty much a lot would fall down, right? So then they're the people that keep everything upright. So you have to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do, and all of that in terms of training. For our officers, not only in ISPS, but in other aspects of security.
In other areas. Yeah, one of the things I wanted to ask was, sort of in line with that, where how do you, because we know security is serious business, how do you balance that when it comes to ensuring a positive customer experience for the passengers, the ships, the ferries when they're coming through?
How do I do that? I think it's kind of easy, because, and I say easy because then we have to, like I was just speaking about training for officers. So we also train them in hospitality, don't we? The Ports Authority has to be big on hospitality, because then we don't see people when they come, but we see people when they leave. So we have to be hospitable to people as they pass through our ports and leave it. So to marry the two, then they would have had the training in what is mandated of them to do at that port of exit, leaving. And so you mix that up now with hospitality. And I think you should have a well-rounded security officer, because if hospitality, I just say all the time, and I don't want to get off course, but all officers know what their jobs are as far as checking people through the checkpoint and looking for things that you shouldn't be traveling with and all of that. So when they go through all of that training, it can be stringent training, and if you don't have people that are open-minded, or you would have to teach them to be open-minded, because then hospitality has to fit in somewhere.
Teach that.
Yeah, so you have to teach that. What I was saying earlier though is that I don't feel sometimes that you can't teach everybody to be hospitable. I don't know. That's how I feel. That is just personal. But so far for my department and the people that I have working, I think for me saying the major part of the employees grasp what it is we're trying to achieve. Because when it comes to security, you can be, a brute sometimes.
Right.
Because it's like, nah, you ain't passing here unless you do this. Take off your shoes, take off your hat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you have to be straight.
Right. And so you have to be able to marry both of them. And I think the authority in a whole has made it possible for us to achieve the mixture of being hospitable and a security officer at the same time.
So I want to stay on that for a little bit, because I know every day is not smooth sailing.
Not at all.
And And I've been seeing a lot of things in the news with ferry passengers and cruise passengers that would have come on the land and they would have had some type of a problem where sometimes law enforcement have to be involved. So tell us about how you are prepared, you and your team is prepared, and if some type of exciting I don't know.
Something that happened?
Yeah, we know it's not smooth every day,
No.
and just the type of protocols that you have put in place when those things happen.
Well, I mean, again, as you know,
much as you can.
Yeah, as you know, the BVI is, we do very well in cruise tourism. So you could imagine what numbers we're passing, like over 800,000 people per season. And that's a lot of people, that's a lot of personalities, that's a lot of energy. People on vacation, they having fun, they drink, they fall down, they get up. So it can get a bit dicey sometimes. But for the most part, we don't have a lot of physical interactions with persons at all at the cruise port. We've had some incidents where cruise passengers full well know that I come on shore and I go and I do a particular thing. They would try to hustle it back to the ship.
And that's it.
Right. So, for instance, something happens in the town area. The security at the checkpoint doesn't know anything about this, right? So they come, they would have to show their ID, a picture ID, and their ship card. Now, this is what's required in order to get back to the ship. Okay, so they come, they show it. You might notice that they're in a bit of a hurry or whatever, but you'll be like, hey, you got to stand in the line, like anybody else. And they would go, but they'll pass through and boom, they went to the ship. Next thing you know, probably here comes the police or here comes the security from the Tatwala Pier Park saying, hey, we just had this person pass through, blah, 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 blah. But it becomes more difficult now because that person went back to the ship. And internationally and all of the regulations and everything, you notice that all ships are registered somewhere. It's either Panama or the Bahamas, different places, right? So they become a part of that soil. So it's not as if we could run down to the ship, guns blazing, and say, hey, we need X, Y, Z, and we need them to get off the ship now. And it doesn't work that way.
Yes.
So that's where I would come in as the port facility security officer. Then I would go with the police and say, okay, this is the way this works, and then we would go down to the ship, and I would ask for the chief security from the ship, and they would come out, and we would speak, amicably about what the situation is. And a lot of times, or most times, I should say, 99.999% of the times, we were able to have that person, removed from the ship and back to shore. The intention here is not to, spoil their vacation or put them in jail or keep them here. Because remember, that ship is sailing.
Yes.
So we would do what we have to do between us and the ship in order to, fix whatever situation we need to fix. So, it happens. But then there's ways of handling a situation.
What about dealing with ferries?
Yeah. So the ferry, you're dealing more with locals, of course. And I'm not saying locals are any worse than the cruise passengers, but we're dealing more with locals, and then all passenger vessels on the international voyages go to the United States Virgin Islands. So you could get those who curse and carry on and stuff like that. But it's a simple interaction for me. We're not here to muscle along anybody or fight anybody. So we'll be quick to call the cops for assistance, and they will respond, and then the situation is taken care of from then.
But you have to hold down things until the cops come.
Well, yes, I do. Yes, I do. So a lot of times, remember that person may have already checked into a secured area. So then there's nowhere to go because you're inside this area, So That's one way of softly detaining a person without them even knowing, because then they would feel like, okay, I guess I get away with all the nonsense I just did. But meanwhile, the cops are coming, you're inside, you couldn't go anywhere because you know where you are. You know, and if there's a person who is belligerent or whatever the case may be and carrying on before the checkpoint, then we can stop you. We can prevent you from traveling. Yes. And sorry, but there's a security person on board the ferries as well, believe it or not. There's a person that's certified as a security officer on board ferries. So even on board the ferry, they have the right to deal with anybody and situations that happen on board their vessel. They can remove people and determine that you can't travel, you're not allowed to travel with us. And you know, so the whole thing is like, remember I was talking about that bubble?
Yes,
Yeah.
the bubble.
So yeah, maritime
That's
security.
interesting.
Yeah.
How did you get involved in this profession?
So
What sparked your interest?
Interest.
Yeah.
So I joined the United States Coast Guard in 1982 ish, and when I got in the Coast Guard, I was kind of leery as to what I was going to do. Before I went there, I attended a technical college in the United States, and I did air conditioning, refrigeration, appliances, and things like that. So getting in the military, of course, they're going to ask you, you know, so what do you do? You know, so then that came out, and so I was on board ships in what you call A gang. There are two gangs on the ship. There's main gang and A gang. So the main gang is the main engines, and A gang would be all the auxiliary things like the air conditioning, the water makers, you know, all that other stuff. So I worked there for a bit. So I was considered in my early years under the engineering department. And as usual, you on a military ship, so you have to deal with weapons, you have to shoot weapons, you have to do what you had to do. So I was sort of a good shot, so to speak. So I was approached by an officer, and he asked me, well, if I had any interest in moving over towards the MLE department. Here we go with the acronyms again, right? The Marine Law Enforcement Department.
There you go.
So I went over there, and that's where my career began. I would think like from since 2003, 2004. Yeah, no, not 2000. When did I tell you I joined?
1982.
There you go. So it would be 84. I am sorry. I
Okay.
jumped forward a lot of years.
You
So, I'm trying to hide my age here, you know. So yeah, I've been in law enforcement for, I would say, that span of time from 1984 till now. So I did law enforcement in the Coast Guard. I got as far as being in charge of boardings and stuff like that. At one point I was the person that would be called a shotgun man, which would be the man first on board and the man last to come off the ship. So they used to say that if anybody's going to be shot, then it would be you. But the excitement, had me. So I was like, yeah, I want to do that.
Okay.
So got out, came back to the Virgin Islands, and started working with customs. And customs didn't have a law enforcement department at that point, marine law enforcement department at that time. So myself and the other people that I met working there, Mr. Foy, who is now our acting managing director. Yeah, we worked in those capacities back in the years. Here in the Virgin Islands, running around with boats and midnight and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I've been in the game. I've been in the game dangerously. I've been in the game for a very long time. And then the whole thing of maritime security became a thing where you can now be certified and all of that. So I went and gained all of that and placed me in the position that I am in now.
Right. And if you were to encourage, because we know succession planning is something that we really need to take serious, and this profession is very, very important, not only to the port, but we see it, around the territory. But if you were to encourage other persons to get involved, what would some of the advice be? What were some of the things that they would need to do? What type of exposure to get them in the field?
Well, I don't know that you could just jump and go right into law enforcement. I wouldn't encourage that. I would mostly encourage getting into a maritime field. Probably if you're starting at the entry level, get some certification as far as working on vessels, and just knowing the maritime industry. And understanding the different things that all compile the industry. I think years ago I used to go to the high school, and this is when I was working in shipping registry. I used to take the surveyors and take them to the schools, and we used to talk about a marine career. And a marine career is a very good career because it'll take you in far places.
There are a lot of different areas.
There is.
within.
So, one of the things that I used to say is that anything that you can do on land, any career that you can think about on land can be transferred or is
On the sea.
on the sea as well. You have all these large vessels all over the place now, and and you name it, and they have them. They have that career. So I would encourage people to first get into the industry, learn the industry, and then once you get to where you will now have a better understanding of the different aspects of a maritime career, then you could go down the lane of becoming a maritime law enforcement officer.
Pick a track.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you may not, you may have that in mind that I want to get into maritime law enforcement.
Right.
But then once you understand the industry, who knows? It might steer you, in a total different direction. But you have to understand it.
Right.
So I think you have to put in the time and understand what it is you're getting into. You have to know the laws of the sea and what you can and can't do. Just like any other job, just like being a police officer on the ground. Some people say they want to get into policing, and they get in, they go to the schools and stuff like that. They get in, they're constable or whatever, and they work their way up. They might have want to say that they would want to be in forensics or whatever, or this place or whatever. And then when they get into it and they start to move,
Right.
and they see other things that you can do. They kind of veer off and say, well, no, I don't want to do that no more, I want to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Have a focus.
So, yeah, I think a good footstep in the marine industry would bring you to exactly to where you want to be.
Okay, that sounds good, and I hope that our listening audience took a key note of that, because we are we are surrounded by water, and it is very important for us to be able to protect it, be able to operate in and around it as best as we can.
And have people come and do the same safely.
Yeah, safely, very important.
Yeah.
Earlier you were talking about, collaborating. Now you mentioned customs and so forth. And that brings me to another point I wanted us to just kind of talk on when it comes to the security's role in the maritime ecosystem. The industry relies on many interconnected services, right? So how does security really fit into the realm of things?
We have to interact with a lot of different other departments. As you know, a shipping port, or cargo port, for example, which would be Port Brazil. There's customs on the ground all the time, every day. Whenever we're open, they're there, because they're the ones that actually takes care of the handling. Well, not the handling, but the control of cargo. And if there's any law enforcement aspect that goes along with that, the searching of containers, the searching of ships, the searching of vehicles that might have been shipped into the country, that is a customs aspect. with the Ports Authority, we own the property, correct? The warehouses and all of that. So it's like we are the keepers of the cargo, and so from the time that cargo lands to the time it leaves or port, we have to ensure that it's taken care of. And in the aspect of it's not stolen, it's not broken, all of those things.
Right.
But as far as the law enforcement part of it, then it would be a collaboration. But customs would be the lead
Okay.
on this aspect, and then they will get or they can get assistance from us. So we have to collaborate with customs, we collaborate with immigration, we collaborate with the persons from agriculture that checks on the fruits and the animals that comes in, plants and all those type of things. We collaborate with the police. We collaborate with the fire department. A vast amount of people, because this is the gateway to the Virgin Islands, correct, as far as shipping is concerned. So anything possible that is possible to be shipped can come through our facility. So we have to be cognizant of all the things that involve all the departments and all the people. And, so we are constantly dealing with other departments in order to get things right or try to keep things right. Yeah.
So can you share with us how your team prepares for any type of emergencies or unexpected situations?
Training, a lot of training. We run drills as to what to do in case different things happen. And, drilling is important, because I remember some time ago we were doing a drill of a suspicious package, for example. And this is a package that was placed on our facility. Nobody knew who put it there, where it came from. So now you're checking to see that when the security officers make their rounds, for example, and they see something suspicious, how do they handle that? So training and drilling is very important when it comes to those type of scenarios. What do you do? Who do you call? Who do you notify? In terms of who gets called out, whether it's a different department like the police or the fire department or whatever. So in handling situations such as what you're talking about, a lot of training and drilling keeps people on point. I'll give you a little joke. One time we did a suspicious package drill. And the officer took up the package and brought the package into the security office and say, anybody knows who this belonged to? And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But hey, in doing anything, you have a learning curve, don't you? You know what I mean? So, back then, I held my head and I was like,
that would have been a serious learning.
Well, yeah, what if
something
there
else.
you go,
Yeah.
So, it was funny. It's funny now we're talking about it and stuff like that. But when it actually happened, it was like, okay, we got to do something about this. You know what I mean? So then, hence all the training, they continue. Process of training and the continued process of drilling or what you call exercise.
Drilling,
yeah,
collaboration.
Yes, ma'am. So and we do a lot of collaboration with the Department for Disaster Management as well.
Okay.
Yeah, couldn't forget them. Sorry, they helped me with a lot of stuff, and to put on different things and drills and exercises and all kinds of stuff. And we the Ports Authority is sorry for saying we, it's as if I own the place or something.
We are.
So we do oil spill drills and stuff like that. We own the facilities that are in the water, right? So we have to know what to do in terms of spills. May it be oil, fuel, sewage, bilge water, everything. So we ought to know what to do when those things happen. So we actually have a spill kit, a container, a 40-foot container on the port that is filled with material that we could use to clean spills and all of that. So drills again,
So to replenish that
and
material.
have to replenish it and all of that.
thing.
Clean it, put it back, make it ready for the next time around or whatever the case may be. So the Department for Disaster Management, they get involved with us and help us to with drilling and exercising that equipment.
What one word best describes security? What you gonna?
Resilience?
Resilience.
What's resilience?
Okay. What's the most important lesson you've learned during your career? Not the one with the box.
Trusting people.
Okay. What does protecting the port mean to you?
Everything. Because if there's no protection at the port, then we can't move anybody. For example, when I spoke about secured ports before, if our port is not secured, then people can't come. Maybe I didn't elaborate on that more, but let's say, for instance, if BVI wasn't a secured port as far as and a certified port as far as ISPS is concerned, cruise vessels can't come.
Cargo.
Can't come if it's coming from an international place.
And ferries, of course.
There you go.
Can't come.
So it means everything. Because if we're not secured, no traffic.
Excellent. I like that.
I watched the watch and was involved in the building and the running of the new Tortola Pier Park.
Yes.
Which is very important. So I like to tell people I know where all the dead bodies are buried over there. Because we watched it, the Ports Authority. The first thing that was worked on was the dock.
Right.
So when the dock was available, we started to bring ships on one side of the dock and move people from the ship through a construction site and into a safe area where the buses were operating from, which is over by where your mama's is right now. We used to work over there. So I moved an entire season of passengers, which at that time I think moved anywhere between 300 and 400,000 people through that construction site.
The whole season.
The whole season. So I know exactly how that whole thing came about. I see it built from the day. Sometimes I didn't used to leave there till 2-3 o'clock in the morning because a building might be building in a spot where we had a walkway. But tomorrow morning, that building is going to start construction, so we have to move the walkway.
Right.
And the walkway has to be safe every day.
Safety.
So even when the ships weren't coming to the dock, they were coming in the stream and anchoring down, and then the tenders would come.
Right.
So we had people moving the entire season through that construction. And without it, and I can't put my hand on the figures now, but I only knew of maybe 2 to 3 accidents in that period of time, moving 300 to 400,000
That's a
people.
pretty low percentage, so that's really
Right.
good. What is the one thing you would like the public to understand about the role of security when it comes to keeping safety, efficiency, and a certain level of operational excellence in place?
People travel for many different reasons, vacation, medical issues, to visit family. They travel for a lot of different things. But the big thing here with travel, you want to know that you can leave where where they're leaving from, and get to their destination safe. So that's why you have security to me, and because security echoes safety. And if you know that you are traveling through safe places, safe and secure places, that enhances your chances of getting to where you want to be safely. We got all kinds of things going on in the world today, right? All kinds of people traveling, all kinds of people wanting to do bad things to transportation services and all of that.
Right.
So, these things are necessary in order to keep all these things safe.
To keep everybody safe.
Yeah. So without security, you probably might have a rough time traveling, or a lot of people might be like, you know what, I ain't going away. Although, they come to the port or they come to, the checkpoints, wherever they are, whether air or sea, and they will carry on about, where I got to take my shoes off, where I got to do this, where I got to do that. But they full well know that
Right.
these things have to be in place in order to make travel safer and securely.
And to keep our ports
Yeah.
safe,
Yeah.
secured as well.
Exactly. So in our case, BVI Ports Authority, we move in cargo, we move in people,
Most people,
we move in, everything. So we want to keep everything safe. We want to make sure that everything and every piece of item that we are moving is delivered and get to the stores, get to the construction site, you name it. We want to make sure that all those things happen. We want to make sure that people come to our country, right? And they enter, they had an excellent time, and they're now going back and using that piece of facility that they came on, and they know that that piece of facility or that ship was kept safe and secure while it was here, and now they can afford to get back on it and leave safely. Correct.
Dave, I want to thank you for stopping by and sharing with us on Portside Conversations. Until next time, your host, Alicia Green.